Joaquin Phoenix walks out of a Joker interview after a controversial question. That is the headline on today's MBE Heroes.
Yeah, John, that's right. Joaquin Phoenix he did walk out in an interview when he was speaking to The Telegraph. That's a publication here in the UK that John loves. And it was to promote the film, and Phoenix was asked if he thought that Joker might perversely end up inspiring exactly the kind of people it's about, with potentially tragic results. I've read that word for word because it is a quote from The Telegraph, John. What is your, or NME, sorry, I'm reading this from, but what's your views on this? Because I know that I think we both agree and totally agree with the actor on this and his reasons for walking away from this interview, because, well, it's a stupid question to ask anyone to begin with, but I think he's had previous for doing this before when people ask this sort of level of intellect. What's your thoughts on this, John? Because this seems to be a reoccurring sort of theme, not just with obviously Joaquin Phoenix and not just with The Telegraph, but this seems to be a common theme now that we're so that far up our own backsides, you know, that we're so concerned on how people are going to react and obviously act in the real world after watching a comic book character.
Stephen, I am completely on the side of Joaquin Phoenix with this one. He did the right thing walking out. My one complaint is that a few hours later he actually came back after someone from The Telegraph went on pleading, perhaps a little git that asked the question, went back to the studio and pleaded for them to bring Joaquin back so they could conclude their interview. What an absolute idiot this person is. I don't know who it is that asked the question, but it's from The Telegraph, so
yeah,
we've already got the general...
Yeah, well, that person works for them now, we don't know.
Yeah, we've got the gist of what the hell the sort of intellect is going to be coming from The Telegraph, a well-known, heavily right-wing publication which has heavily backed Brexit, which, as we do know, has encouraged a slightly strange, ham-headed group of people in certain quarters of the United Kingdom to go out
ham-headed, I like
and
that.
do some nefarious shit with some, you could say, foreigners, Johnny foreigners, putting it politely. They're stirring up the racial shite, Stephen, essentially. I'm not going to get into politics too heavily here because I'll be here all day and I'm not even remotely intellectual enough to do it justice. Sadly, I am not a politician. But this is no paper to be getting on their precious little petal platforms and try to be holier than thou and suggesting that why in a movie like this will this not inspire a wave of people to go out and commit horrific crimes and perhaps slaughters, mass slaughters? No, it will not. It's absolute nonsense, Stephen. We spoke about this before we came on. Utter bullshit. As a young child, growing up into my teenage years, I watched a whole array of very violent movies. I played violent video games. Never infected me in any way. For someone to go and watch a form of art, be it cinema, TV show, or just go and play a game, and be influenced by that in a slightly strange way and decide they want to go out and massacre or replicate what they're seeing on the screen, they are either incredibly immature emotionally and in just about every other level imaginable, or they are very easily manipulated,
John,
or they're just idiots.
I 100% agree with you.
Or they've got chemical imbalances.
There has been times where people have been inspired to commit serious acts based on what they've seen on a film.
Chucky was the famous one back in the day.
Or in a video game. But as you said, these people are unhinged to begin with. It's got nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
I'm the same, John. I grew up in, I was born in the mid-70s, so throughout the 80s I was exposed to the likes of Poltergeist, Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, and that's just horror. Then you've got elements of Robocop in there, some Schwarzenegger stuff as well, some Stallone stuff, where violence was always round the corner. It never ignited me to go out and commit any of these things that you saw on the cinema screen or anything like that. I think it's a very lazy question as well. It seems to be this, as I said, I think
just stoking up controversy.
I think it is, John, and I think also as well it's a question that's not coming from the person as an honest question. It's a question he thinks or she thinks, I don't know what their gender is, that they think is the question that people want to know. And I wouldn't get into an interview like that. The questions that I would, put forward to any actor or director or anything like that, if I was in that position, would be my own. Unless there was obviously some coming from, obviously higher above than me that want certain questions in there. I certainly would be standing my ground on that kind of question. I would be saying, I'm not asking that. I says I wouldn't put my own sort of, reputation on the line with an idiotic question like that. Certainly, Joaquin Phoenix certainly doesn't want to give an answer to an idiotic question. So I think he handled it well. I think sometimes it's better not to say anything and just walk away from the situation, because it could have been cringeworthy for the person interviewing as well. I think he did them a favour, to be honest
Stephen,
with you.
we've seen this before with the guy from Channel 4, I think, with Robert Downey Jr., when he continued to prod into the man's histories, obviously issues he had in his earlier life, and he just wasn't having it. He says, look, I'm done with this interview, I'm walking away, it's the only way to handle these people. There's just a whole new era of journalists and people in general who seem to take great delight and pleasure in finding offence in every minuscule little thing on the earth. I've seen it with the reviews for Rambo and whatnot.
But do you not think, John, that that's what they think they have to do these days? I don't think that's why I'm saying. I think they're shoehorned, Stephen. There's been a lot of people, obviously from right-wing circles over in America and whatnot, which I think is just, they're crazy as well. But saying that there's too much liberal-minded people who seem to be attracted to reviewing movies, and that's probably is the case, because it's more artistic, and you tend to find liberal left-wing people are more drawn, I should say, to arts and creativity and that side of the spectrum. I'm a more artistic person, certainly more left-leaning and liberal. Yeah,
in
but
my
you
leanings.
can separate the two, John.
Yeah, but I can separate it, Stephen, and I'm not absolutely tribalistic in my view in the world, black and white binary. If this is happening in a movie, that means this is going to happen. It's going to inspire a wave of violence. It's absolutely crazy. I can't get my head around it. Stephen, we were speaking, I don't know if what it was about, but it may not even have been, it may have been something else completely. But I seen something as well which alluded to it. The Rambo thing, the concept of violence and how it's changed over the years in movies, the way that we show it. I mean, you spoke about it there as well when you were younger. I was the same. I grew up watching Nightmare on Elm Street. I watched RoboCop and whatnot. But there was a Rambo cartoon in the 1980s.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Okay.
I watched it on Collider Live. That's where I watched it, incidentally. We didn't speak about it. Totally making that up. I've been living in an alternate universe. But it perfectly alludes to what we're speaking about here, Stephen. Back in those days, heavily violent cartoon being shown to children who they are making up, they're essentially getting in with a preconceived notion that these children have seen the original Rambo movie, which in itself was quite violent. It never affected people back then, certainly not over here.
No.
There was not as much of these crazy lunatics going out. This seems to be something which has developed over the last 20, 30 years. And I think it's just the attitudes and the way that society in today, generation just treats people and whatnot. And I think this is why this is the perfect movie. Yeah. What they say in that quote will inspire people to do what I can't actually get the quote. What people are like in this actual movie will inspire. What is the actual quote, Stephen? I can't actually. It might perversely end up inspiring exactly the kind of people it's about.
I think it's false.
Potentially tragic results.
I've got to be honest with you. I think
exactly
it's false.
The kind of people it's about. What people who are shut off from society and beaten down again and again and formed into these maniacal lunatics who want to go out and commit violence. I think this is a story which has to be told. It was told with Taxi Driver with Scorsese back in the 80s. If this connects to someone who's maybe in a similar situation, then that's what it's all about, whilst inspiring and bewildering people in equal measures with the great performance from Phoenix. Stephen, I love the guy.
Yeah, I think he's a great actor. I think everybody that listened to the White Album, formed cults and out killing people.
Exactly. This is something that's been happening time immemorial.
One cult and one person, because they were unhinged. It's as simple as that. But listen, we'll move on because I'm getting a bit worked up about that, John. I'm getting annoyed with that. I think it's false concern, but I think it's a front.
Stephen, we've seen it with Death Wish as well. We've seen it with Rambo. The reviews talking about violence. It's false. You're right, and it's nonsense.
But listen, John, we'll move on to our next article, and this is headed up with Disney begins Avengers Endgame Oscar campaign now. We've kind of talked about this sort of in droplets throughout the last maybe, when did it come out? April. So it's probably been the last 4 months or so.
Well, no, was it April?
I think it was, yeah. So So I think over the last 4 or 5 months, we've certainly been mentioning it here, there, and everywhere. That at some point in this year, the studio's going to push for this film to, its campaign for Oscars. And it does say in the article, John, that that they will be campaigning for the nominations across the board, including picture, director and actor for, obviously, Robert Downey Jr. This is something that they did the same for Black Panther and previously for comic book films like The Dark Knight and Logan. So it's something that's not new, but I think apart from Heath Ledger's, obviously, posthumous one, there wasn't much sort of attention focused on the genre enough. But it seems to be becoming a bit of the norm now, which is obviously a good thing. Certainly with Black Panther last year, John. So what's your views on this? And do you think that the campaign has got, what's the word for it now? Do you think it's got the sort of backing and the momentum for it? Because Black Panther came out round about the same time, maybe a little bit earlier last year. I think it was maybe March time. And they had to do the whole cycle before, obviously, the Academy Awards for the following year, but it didn't seem to affect it in any manner. So what's your thoughts on this?
Stephen, I'm delighted to see, first and foremost, that they are actually pushing the movie for Oscars, because it deserves some recognition just as a culmination of the whole Infinity Saga as a whole. Now, I know they don't look at it from that view. They take it purely on the artistic merits of the movie itself within that self-contained story. But if you actually skew it and look at the actual whole story as a whole and the way this rounded it all up beautifully, I think this thoroughly deserves to see some recognition in not just technical categories, but actually for best movie, best screenplay, best probably director as well, because I think the Russo's done a superb job with that movie.
I think soundtrack as well, John.
Yeah, soundtrack as well. There's not many directors, Stephen, can take that movie with all the pressure and the expectancy and do what they did with it and knock it out the park with absolute ease. Downey Jr. deserves a nomination as well, Stephen, but I don't think he'll get it. It's going to be a very crowded category this year.
So, yeah.
How many is it? It's 4 nominations, isn't it, every single year? Nominees for Best Actor. So right away I can see Pitt in there for Ad Astra as it stands. DiCaprio in there as Rick Dalton from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. There'll be other ones which I've not seen as of yet who will be directly looking for that.
The Irishman,
Phoenix, Joaquin Phoenix for the Joker. The Irishman could throw up a Pesci or a De Niro. So it's going to be very difficult for Downey Jr. to get in there when we know already that the Academy have a bias against comic book movies. There's one came out and says he won't even watch an Avengers movie because it's an Avengers movie essentially.
Wow.
So they have ingrained institutional bias against comic book movies as a genre, despite the fact that over the last 4 or 5 years they have been going and doing different subgenres, Western style movies like Logan, different tellings of stories and unique little concepts. Have been doing it all, but they will not give them a chance. So I don't think Downey Jr. will get a look in. I think purely because of the pressure, peer pressure from fans and whatnot, and just culture in general, pop culture. We all see this movie, I think, sneak in as maybe a best picture. I feel it deserves it. It's not the most art house, incredible movie, but just as a spectacle, as a zeitgeist movie, ending an era for the MCU, I think it deserves it. What do I think of the push and just the general timing of it? I think they're doing the right thing, Steve. We seen it with Black Panther last year, as you did mention. Came at the beginning of the year, a whole host of movies came out. I think it's very important that you push it at the right time, because Hereditary got lost in the pattern last year, and that was a beautiful movie from Ari Aster. Toni Collette was one of the best performers in that year, and she got completely snubbed because it came out earlier on in the year. So when there's a long period of time and you have these award, how shall I put it, baiting movies coming out and later on in the year, it's difficult to get in
one
there.
of them, John. It's clear to see,
Well, it is,
and you're right. I think if Ad Astra had probably come out maybe February time, it'd be forgotten about.
It'd be gone.
From certain angles, and
that's when Disney's big pockets full of money come in handy, Stephen, because they will push it and push it hard, and rightly so.
I think because it's the biggest grossing film of all time as well, John, it's going to certainly help it, because it will stick in the mind of a lot of people.
Avatar, it did miss out, I think, to Hurt Locker. I think it was James Cameron's ex-wife who won the award that year for Best Picture. A lot of people didn't agree. I actually didn't agree, Stephen. I wasn't the biggest fan of Avatar, but just for, again, spectacle, what he did, shaking up 3D and just, again, groundbreaking technology and everything. I think that movie deserved to look in. Will they actually give them an array of different nominations out with the technical aspect? Will screenplay get a look in? We heard the writers speaking about it, how they were burdened with the weight of expectancy and how it was one of the hardest things trying to write a screenplay. And Stephen, it was such an intelligent screenplay, the way it went off in time travel and a whole host of different directions you wouldn't expect. I thought it was an incredible screenplay. You're right, the score will absolutely get it. Was it Silvestri? Silvestri. Beautiful score, so many epic moments. The moment where Steve Rogers' face is off, they all come out the portals. It may even be called portals.
I think it is, John.
That is one of the best pieces of music I've heard this year, Stephen.
Yeah.
But again, they're limited to what they can nominate. We'll see what happens. One thing's for sure, Black Panther, absolutely a groundbreaking movie in that regard in terms of breaking out and multiple wins for comic book genre movies. We've seen it obviously with, I think, Logan get a nomination for perhaps Best Adapted Screenplay or Best Original Screenplay, and then Heath Ledger posthumously. But Stephen, again, that's peer pressure.
Yeah.
After the man died, and it was a sublime performance. They were forced into doing it.
Downey Jr. missed out that year as well too, Heath Ledger. For Iron Man, I think. Same year, wasn't it? Yeah. So it would be, quite poetic if it did get it.
Stephen, I think it'd be incredible for him to win it, because it's an incredible growth from that character. Over 10, 11 years, it came from being an egotistical, selfish guy to committing one of the greatest selfless acts, I should say, not selfish.
By portraying a very selfish person.
One of the most selfless
Tony
acts.
Stark.
Yeah, so Stephen, it was incredible growth. Much like Michael Corleone and Godfather, albeit that was in one movie.
Yeah.
That was one of the greatest transformations I've ever seen in a movie, incidentally. Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr., over 11 years. Deserves it.
Yeah.
Will he get it? I don't know.
Listen, we'll have to wait and see, John, but we'll move on to our final article this week.
Yes.
Coming from Screen Rant again. It's Christian Bale tells Robert Pattinson to ignore the Batman haters. Both of us have seen this clip, John. Obviously, the actor was being interviewed. I can't remember what it was for. I think it might have been for actually Le Mans.
It was, yeah.
Not Le Mans.
Le Mans
Ford
66,
versus Ferrari. And he was asked the question in regards to hearing the news about Robert Pattinson being, put up to play Bruce Wayne / Batman for the upcoming movie, John. Christian Bale's did this before. He's not one of these guys that's precious about the character, like Harrison Ford is with Indiana Jones, but he did wish...
Ron Perlman is with Hellboy.
Yeah, certainly. Ben Affleck, he wished him well when he took over the role, 5 years ago, and wished him well in it. I think Christian Bale, to an extent, enjoyed playing the character as well, and I think he would have enjoyed doing a few more films as well if it was right, but obviously Christopher Nolan had other ideas. He always had it in his mind it was going to be a trilogy, and I think it worked well as a trilogy. I don't think he could have done much more with it anyway, but it was nice to see that he wished Robert Pattinson all the best. He obviously told him to ignore the Batman haters. This is in regards to obviously the appointment of Heath Ledger as the Joker back in 2008, and obviously the Stramash that caused back in the day. And I remember it. I was kind of caught up in it as well. I wasn't as bad as some of these lunatics you got in line, John, hiding behind their keyboards. But when he was obviously announced as he would be the Joker, at the time, I've got to admit, I did find it a very strange appointment. But listen, I admitted I was wrong. Certainly with Ben Affleck as well, I thought he's not my first choice. I don't think he's a bad choice, but he wouldn't have been my first choice. He knocked it out of the park. I thought it was an excellent Bruce Wayne, first and foremost. It was a nice angle to come in at, an older, sort of greyer version of the character, which I'd never seen before on the big screen. And Robert Pattinson, I think he's probably, I don't know if he's the youngest, I'd have to go back and check all their dates of birth, but certainly he's got to be one of the youngest.
I think he's got to be.
I don't know what Michael Keaton was at the time, but certainly...
Kilmer would have been mid-30s.
I would say mid to late 30s, John, so...
Clooney was mid to late 30s, yeah. I'm bad, mate.
Yeah, I think so. I think Robert Pattinson possibly could be the youngest. If anyone wants to correct us in the comments, do so. Yeah. Certainly, I'm not saying that he is, but I think he may be. And I think Christian Bale, he'll know exactly what that's like to take on that role as well, and the pressure that comes with that, John.
Absolutely.
Christian Bale was taking this on after the last film, a Batman film before that he took it on was Batman v Batman Robin. Sorry, there was a lot of pressure on him, and there'll be certainly a lot of pressure on Robert Pattinson as well, because he's already had the doubters on his case. He's the Twilight guy. That's what they refer to him as, the Twilight guy.
No, he's a Harry Potter guy. He's Cedric Diggory, and he will always be Cedric Diggory to me until he's Bruce Wayne. Yeah, Stephen, look, he was in one Harry Potter movie, and that's how I visualise him. I've never seen a single Twilight Saga movie, nor will I ever. But yeah, you're right, Stephen, and so is Christian, incidentally, giving him his seal of approval. He's the most, he always strikes me as a very down-to-earth and humble guy who's not very, how shall I put it, touchy when it comes to roles.
He's touchy with lighting directors, though, John.
Yeah, he's touchy with line directors, getting in his way in the middle of takes, and rightly so. He's a professional. He goes out his way with his method style to get right into the character, live it, and then portray the best performance he can on screen, and some idiot does something in the middle of a take.
He was a good John Connor, John.
Yeah, he was a fantastic John Connor. I absolutely should have seen, I say from day one, Stephen, when they announced there would be no more sort of a spin-offs to Salvation, it was a mistake. We should have seen more of that character. He was superb as John Connor. I'm not having it. Yeah. But yeah, Stephen, he doesn't seem the type who gets all precious about previous roles and is too connected to them. He's very much for the present and the future. Doesn't look at the past, and he always wishes, as you did say, he's in predecessor successors. All the best in their forays into the character. Ben Affleck was fantastic as Bruce Wayne. You're absolutely right, Batman. It wasn't his fault what happened in Dawn of Justice or Justice League. I thought he did a very interesting slant on the character. He was passionate about it.
Yeah.
Big Batman fan. I don't know how passionate Robert Pattinson is for the character, how much of an insight he has. Yeah. But I think just about everybody, round about the age of 30, perhaps younger, will be acquainted with Batman on some level, will know the character. He's iconic, and there's not many people, acting or otherwise, who will not know how to come at this character from some viewpoint. Yeah. In terms of the backlash, I was always ahead of the curve, Stephen, when it came to Heath Ledger.
Just like the Joker.
Just like the Joker. People were too busy and ready to cast him out like a leper, but I was ahead of the curve on that one. I was a big fan of Heath from the 10 Things I Hate About You days. Very interesting guy, very interesting actor. And again, much like Pattinson, some people felt he was shoehorned into a specific, what is that goddamn thing they all say, Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill?
Typecast, yeah.
Typecast.
Yeah.
Typecasted into the
I just have to mention Mark Hamill and I know what you're talking
He's
about.
the guy I think about right away.
Yeah.
But typecast into that rom-com sort of a genre, or just that teen heartthrob kind of a role. But eventually he's broke out, he's done interesting roles. It was the same with Heath Ledger, Stephen. They did some interesting roles as a side to that. And this is something the casting director and the people involved in the movie would have seen. They would have identified it and seen the potential. They've done it with Pattinson, we've seen it with The Lighthouse, the build up to this. He looks incredible. I mean, him alongside Defoe, he's holding his own against Defoe, which is not something that's very easy to do. That guy is one of the best in the business.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what this guy brings to the role. And I'm happy to see Christian Bale is not so precious like Ron Perlman was about goddamn David Harbour and Hellboy.
Yeah.
Totally shiting upon it with Guillermo del Toro to such an extent where he rounded up all the fan base and they wouldn't go out and watch it. I thought the movie was fine, Stephen. We spoke about it. I liked Hellboy. And I'm sure this Batman movie with Matt Reeves will be fantastic. He's got a clear vision, like Christopher Nolan had. He's an idea for this detective side, bringing this out. Multiple villains. I cannot wait to see it. I cannot wait to see a proper Batman movie once again. It's been too long. I mean, it's been what, 6 years, 7 years? Yeah. Is that right? 2012?
Yeah.
7 years?
Yeah.
So, it's 7 years too much for me. I'm going to like to see one every year. I would have loved to have seen Bale continue. We spoke about it before we came on. Brilliant Bruce Wayne. Batman Begins is my all-time favourite Batman movie.
Yeah.
What he did, I've always says that's the thing I love about the character, the concept of him living this double existence. He's in the shadows as Batman, but then he's speaking to people he knows and loves, feigning ignorance at the antics he's getting up to. We spoke about that scene in the hotel.
Yeah.
I own this hotel, lying in the bath and of the fountain and speaking about what kind of lunatic is out with a Batman suit or a bat suit on at night. He's clearly got issues. That's the side of the character I love. That's why I liked Arrow when it was in its first couple of seasons, and I hope we get to see this in conjunction with great villains and detective storytelling stuff going on, and I'll be a happy chap, and I'm sure Pattinson
that was
will
one
do
of the
a job.
reasons George Clooney failed at the character, because there was no definition between, well, the campiness as well, but there was no definition between him portraying Batman and him portraying Bruce Wayne. They were the same thing. They were George Clooney bobbling his head about.
Yeah.
You know, I think Robert Pattinson is an excellent choice. I've got to be honest with you, John. You know, those films out with Twilight prove that the guy can act out with, you know, teen sort of vampire romances and stuff like that. You know, that
It's a new genre.
that he seems to
vampire.
be, you know, pigeonholed in because, you know, just a lot of his sort of fan base grew up with only knowing him in those roles. So I'm looking forward to it.
Whatever happened to David Arquette? Is it his name was from Angel?
Yeah, it was
Whatever happened to him?
His husband, wasn't it?
He was, he was.
Oh no, you're talking about David.
David
Bird.
Bird. I don't know what his name is.
De Bordeaux or something like
Yeah,
that.
but he was an Angel, the Buffy the Vampire Slayer sort of a spin-off.
I don't know what happened to
him. He was like the Pattinson of his era, but he never went out the box and tried to do more adventurous roles. Stephen, you're right. Final thing I'll say about the Clooney thing, that's what makes the character so compelling. As I did say, he's a very complicated guy with deep issues going on inside him, and you need to reveal that aspect of his personality and character along with the action sequences and the bombastic stuff. But look, that's going to round up this show because I've not got much more to add. What did you guys make of the array of topics we spoke about? It's only 3. I don't know if that constitutes an array. Do you agree with Joaquin Phoenix and us that this nonsense about violence in films, inspiring violence in the real world? What did you make of the news of Christian Bale giving Robert Pattinson the green light going forward for Batman? If you've got anything to say about those topics, comment below and let us know what your thoughts were in the comments section. Like the video if you've enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content. Me and Stephen will be back tomorrow with MBE Movie News.